People who've had near-death experiences. What did you see? Story 1. Emily's Journey, Embraced by the Light. The first story takes place in a quiet, small town where a woman named Emily faced a near-death experience that changed her life forever. Emily was 34 years old, a mother of two, and a teacher at the local elementary school. One winter evening, she was driving home after a long day, the road slippery with fresh snow. She was just a few miles from home when her car hit an icy patch, spinning out of control. The world seemed to slow down. Emily remembers the moment vividly, the blinding headlights of an oncoming truck, the sound of screeching tires, and the force of the impact as her car collided with the vehicle. Then, everything went silent. She felt herself drifting, as though she were floating away from the scene, leaving her body behind. Emily recalls that she didn't feel fear or pain in that moment, only a profound sense of peace and detachment. She could see her own body still and broken in the wreckage, but it felt distant, almost like watching a scene from a movie. As she hovered above, she felt an invisible force pulling her upward, away from the chaotic scene below. She surrendered to it, feeling an overwhelming sense of calm wash over her. Then, everything around her transformed. She found herself in a place she can only describe as otherworldly. The surroundings were filled with a soft, warm light, brighter than anything she'd ever seen but not harsh to the eyes. It was as if the very air was infused with love, compassion, and understanding. Emily could hear a gentle hum, like a choir of voices singing in harmony, though there were no words, just pure, resonating sound that filled her with peace. In this place, she felt the presence of others, though she couldn't see them clearly. They were like shadows or silhouettes bathed in light, standing at a distance, watching her with a kind of welcoming warmth. She felt as though they were familiar, like long-lost friends or family members, though she couldn't recognize any faces. They seemed to radiate love, acceptance, and understanding. She had the unshakable feeling that they were there to greet her, to guide her to whatever lay beyond. Emily was drawn to these figures, moving toward them effortlessly, as if gliding on air. She could feel an indescribable joy, an unconditional love that enveloped her, filling every part of her being. It was a love that went beyond anything she'd experienced on Earth, a feeling of complete acceptance and belonging. She felt as though all the worries, fears, and regrets she'd carried in life were being washed away, leaving her with only a sense of pure peace. But just as she was about to reach these figures, a barrier seemed to appear between them, like an invisible wall. She heard a voice, gentle yet firm, that spoke to her from within. It wasn't in words, but in a way that resonated deep within her heart, conveying a message without sound. The voice told her that it wasn't her time, that she had to go back, that her journey on Earth wasn't finished. At that moment, Emily felt a pang of sadness, a longing to stay in this place of light and love. But the voice was unwavering, gently guiding her back. She felt herself being pulled away from the figures, back toward the earthly realm. The peaceful light around her began to fade, replaced by the cold, dim reality of her physical surroundings. Suddenly, she was back in her body, gasping for breath, pain searing through her chest and limbs. She could hear the distant wail of sirens, the frantic voices of paramedics working to pull her from the wreckage. The feeling of peace and love lingered, though it was now tinged with a harsh reality of pain and confusion. Emily later shared that her near-death experience left her with a deep sense of purpose and an unshakable belief in the existence of something beyond this life. She no longer feared death, knowing that there was a place of love and peace waiting for her. And in her everyday life, she found herself more patient, more compassionate, and more grateful for each moment, carrying with her the memory of the light and the love she had experienced. Story 2. Daniel's Revelation, a glimpse beyond the mountains. Daniel was an adventurous soul, an avid hiker and nature photographer who spent his free time exploring remote landscapes and capturing the beauty of the natural world. On one particular trip, he set out to hike a mountain trail that had always intrigued him, known for its breathtaking views but also for its challenging, steep climbs. Daniel was well prepared, but a sudden storm rolled in, catching him off guard and causing him to slip and fall down a rocky slope. As he lay at the bottom, bruised and battered, he struggled to breathe, feeling an intense pressure in his chest. He remembers the cold creeping over him, his vision fading, and then a stillness. In that stillness, he felt himself being lifted, as if an invisible force was gently pulling him upward. It was a sensation unlike anything he had ever felt, a feeling of weightlessness, of being freed from the confines of his physical body. Daniel looked down and saw his own body lying motionless on the rocky ground, his arms outstretched, his face pale and peaceful. He could see every detail, the way his jacket was torn, the angle of his limbs, even the water droplets on his face from the rain. But he felt no fear, no attachment to his physical form. Instead, he felt an overwhelming sense of release, as if he were finally free. He began to drift upward, away from the mountainside, away from the world he had known. The stormy sky seemed to part, revealing a tunnel of light above him, and he felt himself moving toward it. The light was warm and welcoming, drawing him closer with an undeniable pull. As he entered the light, he was enveloped in a sense of peace that filled every part of his being, as though all the burdens, worries, and fears of his life were being washed away. In this place, Daniel sensed a presence, an energy that radiated love and wisdom. Though he couldn't see anyone, he felt as if he were in the presence of something or someone much greater than himself, a being of pure light and love. He felt as if this presence knew him completely, every thought, every experience, every hidden fear and regret. And yet, despite knowing everything about him, this presence loved him unconditionally. Daniel recalls that, in this realm, time seemed to lose all meaning. He wasn't aware of how long he had been there, only that he was completely at peace. The presence began to communicate with him, though not in words. It was more like a series of impressions, emotions, and images that conveyed messages directly to his heart. He felt a sense of understanding flow through him, a realization that everything he had ever experienced, every joy, every sorrow, had a purpose and a meaning. He was shown moments from his life, memories he hadn't thought of in years, each one filled with significance. He saw himself as a child, running through fields with his siblings, laughing and playing. He saw moments of kindness he had shown to strangers, times he had been patient with others, and even times he had failed. Yet each of these moments was woven together into a tapestry of his life, and he understood that even his mistakes had a purpose, teaching him valuable lessons and helping him grow. At one point, Daniel felt as though he were standing at a threshold. He sensed that he had a choice, to stay in this place of peace and love or to return to his earthly life. The thought of leaving this beautiful realm was difficult. He felt so connected, so complete, in a way he had never felt before. But then he thought of his family, his friends, the people who would be affected by his absence. As if sensing his thoughts, the presence reassured him, filling him with a deep sense of purpose and a gentle nudge to return. He felt as though he were being given a second chance, a chance to live his life with a renewed understanding, to share the love and peace he had experienced with others. With a feeling of acceptance, Daniel began to drift back. The light started to fade, and he felt himself descending, returning to his physical body. The sensation of re-entering his body was jarring, and he was instantly aware of the pain, the cold, the rain hitting his face. But alongside the physical discomfort, he felt a warmth, a lingering presence, as if a piece of the realm he had visited had stayed with him. When he was finally rescued, Daniel found that his experience had changed him deeply. He no longer saw life as a series of disconnected events, but as a journey, each moment meaningful, each encounter important. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for everything, even the challenges, even the pain. The love and peace he had felt in that realm stayed with him, guiding him, reminding him of the beauty and purpose of life. Story 3. Marcus' Second Chance. Marcus was a successful businessman, known for his dedication to his work and his ambition to achieve more. He was driven, always looking ahead to the next goal, the next big step. But his relentless drive took a toll on his health and relationships. He barely had time for his family, and his marriage was strained. Late nights, skipped meals, and constant stress became his norm, until one day his body simply couldn't keep up. Marcus suffered a massive heart attack in his office. As his vision blurred and he felt himself slipping away, he recalls a strange feeling of weightlessness, as if he were being lifted out of his body. Suddenly, he was no longer in his office but hovering above it, watching as his co-workers rushed to his side, frantically calling for help. The scene felt surreal. He could see everything, hear the panic, yet he felt strangely calm. As he watched, Marcus felt himself being pulled away from the office, drifting through a tunnel of light. The walls of the tunnel seemed to shimmer with a golden hue, and he was enveloped in a warm, loving energy that soothed his anxiety and fear. He felt as if he were leaving all his worries, all his regrets behind. At the end of the tunnel, Marcus found himself standing in a place filled with an indescribable light. It wasn't blinding, but gentle and comforting. He looked around, trying to make sense of his surroundings, when he saw figures approaching him. As they came closer, he recognized them. His grandparents, who had passed away years earlier, stood before him, smiling warmly. They radiated love and kindness, and he felt an overwhelming sense of joy to see them again. They didn't speak, but he could feel their love, their pride, and their acceptance. It was as if they were telling him without words that he was welcome, that he belonged here. Marcus had missed them deeply, and being in their presence filled a void he hadn't realized was still there. He felt their hands on his shoulders, a gentle reassurance that he was safe, that he was loved. As Marcus stood with them, he felt a shift in his awareness. He began to see flashes of his life, not the business deals or achievements, but moments with his family, his wife, and his children. He saw the disappointment in his wife's eyes when he missed anniversaries, the sadness in his children's faces when he couldn't attend their school events. He felt the weight of missed moments, of times he could never get back, and a deep sense of regret washed over him. In that moment, he felt the loving presence of his grandparents guiding him, showing him that life wasn't about success or wealth, but about love, connection, and being present for the people who matter. He realized that he had been chasing the wrong things, and he felt a deep yearning to make things right. As if sensing his desire, the presence around him seemed to shift. He heard a voice calm and loving, telling him that it wasn't his time, that he had more to do, more to experience. The voice reassured him, filling him with a sense of purpose and a renewed appreciation for life. He was given a chance to return, to cherish the relationships he had taken for granted. Reluctantly, but with a sense of peace, Marcus felt himself drifting back. The warmth and light faded, and he became aware of his physical body, the pain in his chest, the beeping machines, and the faces of the medical team surrounding him. He was back in a hospital, gasping for breath, his heart pounding. When he fully regained consciousness, Marcus found himself overwhelmed with gratitude and a determination to change. The love and acceptance he felt in that other realm stayed with him, and he knew he had been given a second chance, a chance to live a life filled with purpose, love, and connection. After his recovery, Marcus made significant changes. He spent more time with his family, prioritized his health, and reconnected with the people he loved. His near-death experience had shown him what truly mattered, and he embraced each day with gratitude and a newfound appreciation for the simple, meaningful moments that made life worth living. Story 4. Sarah's story of unconditional love. Sarah was 29, a nurse who worked long, grueling hours at a hospital. She was devoted to her job but often felt overwhelmed by the suffering and hardship she witnessed daily. Despite her compassion, she was struggling with burnout, and her health had begun to deteriorate. One evening, Sarah collapsed in her apartment from an undiagnosed heart condition. As her consciousness faded, she felt herself slipping away. When she opened her eyes, Sarah found herself in a place filled with light, a golden, soft glow that surrounded her like a warm embrace. She was floating in an endless field of flowers, their vibrant colors and gentle fragrance filling her with peace. The air was alive with a sense of joy, love, and acceptance that resonated deep within her soul. In the distance, Sarah noticed a figure approaching, radiating warmth and kindness. She felt no fear, only a sense of being deeply known and unconditionally loved. As the figure came closer, Sarah realized it was her grandmother, who had passed away when she was a child. Her grandmother reached out, taking Sarah's hand, her touch filled with love and reassurance. Without words, her grandmother conveyed that she was there to guide Sarah and to show her the meaning of love. Sarah felt as if her entire life was unfolding before her, moments of joy, pain, compassion, and even times when she doubted her worth. But through it all, she felt a profound sense of acceptance, as if every part of her was cherished. Her grandmother then showed her a vision of the people she had helped, moments in her career as a nurse that she hadn't remembered or appreciated. She saw how her kindness, even in the smallest of gestures, had touched lives, bringing comfort and hope to those in pain. Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose, a deeper understanding of her role in the world. Before she could ask to stay, Sarah felt herself being gently pulled back, her grandmother's loving presence fading as the light began to dim. She awoke in a hospital bed, surrounded by her colleagues, her heart filled with gratitude and a newfound commitment to her work. From that day forward, Sarah approached each day with a sense of love and purpose, knowing that her presence made a difference in the world. Her near-death experience had shown her the beauty of unconditional love, and she carried that gift into every aspect of her life. Story 5. James' encounter with his future self. James was 42, a man who had always struggled with self-doubt and insecurity. He was in a car accident on his way to work one rainy morning. The impact was severe, and as his vision blurred, he felt himself slipping into a state of calm detachment. In an instant, James found himself in a different place, an open, serene landscape bathed in golden light. He looked around, marveling at the peace and beauty that surrounded him. Then he saw someone walking toward him, a man who looked strangely familiar. As the figure approached, James realized he was looking at an older version of himself. The older version of James smiled warmly, radiating a sense of confidence, peace, and wisdom that James had never felt in himself. They stood face to face, and James felt a surge of understanding pass between them, a sense of unity and connection. His older self conveyed that he was there to reassure James, to show him the person he was meant to become. In a series of images and feelings, his future self showed James a life filled with purpose, kindness, and inner peace. He saw himself overcoming his insecurities, embracing challenges, and finding joy in helping others. James felt an overwhelming sense of hope, a belief in his own potential that he had never experienced before. As the vision began to fade, his older self gave him a final message, that life was a journey, and that every challenge was an opportunity for growth. James felt himself being pulled back, the light fading as he returned to his body. When he awoke in the hospital, James felt transformed. The experience had filled him with a newfound confidence, a determination to live with purpose and embrace each moment. He no longer feared the future, knowing that he had the strength to become the person he was meant to be. Story 6. Mia's Journey to a Celestial City. Mia, a 50-year-old artist, had lived her life with a passion for beauty and creativity. She had a deep love for art and nature, but struggled with anxiety and fear of the unknown. After a serious illness left her on the brink of death, Mia experienced a near-death journey that changed her forever. As she drifted away, Mia felt herself traveling through a tunnel filled with swirling colors, blues, purples, and greens that seemed to pulse with energy. She was surrounded by a feeling of peace and wonder, a sense that she was moving towards something extraordinary. When she emerged from the tunnel, Mia found herself standing in a magnificent city bathed in radiant light. The buildings seemed to glow with a heavenly brilliance, their walls made of what appeared to be gemstones and precious metals. She could hear the soft sound of music, a melody that filled her with joy and awe. As Mia walked through the city, she felt a connection to everything around her. She saw people of all ages, radiant and joyful, moving through the streets with a sense of purpose and peace. Some of them nodded at her, their faces filled with warmth and love. She felt as if she belonged here, as if she were part of something timeless and beautiful. Every worry, every fear she had ever felt was washed away in the presence of this celestial city. She felt a sense of unity with all of creation, an understanding that everything was interconnected, woven together by love. But as she marveled at the city, Mia felt a gentle pull, a reminder that she still had a life to return to. Reluctantly, she turned away, feeling the beauty of the city fade as she traveled back through the tunnel of colors. When Mia awoke, she was filled with a profound sense of peace and purpose. Her fear of the unknown had vanished, replaced by a deep trust in the beauty and mystery of life. Her experience had shown her a glimpse of heaven, and she carried that vision with her, allowing it to inspire her art and her life. Story 7. Samuel's Encounter with Angels. Samuel, a retired firefighter, had spent his life risking his own safety to help others. He was known for his bravery, but deep down, he carried the weight of many losses and regrets. After a severe stroke, Samuel found himself in a place he could only describe as divine. As he drifted into unconsciousness, Samuel felt himself rising, leaving his physical body behind. He found himself in a vast, luminous landscape, surrounded by a chorus of voices singing in harmony. The music was unlike anything he had ever heard. Each note seemed to vibrate with love, filling him with peace. In the distance, Samuel saw figures approaching, their forms glowing with a soft, golden light. As they drew closer, he recognized them as angels, their faces serene and compassionate. They radiated an energy of love and kindness, and Samuel felt an overwhelming sense of peace in their presence. The angels communicated with him through thoughts and feelings, showing him moments from his life, both the triumphs and the mistakes. Samuel felt no judgment, only understanding and compassion. The angels conveyed that his actions, both good and bad, were part of his journey, teaching him valuable lessons and helping him grow. They then showed him visions of the people he had saved, lives he had touched through his bravery and kindness. Samuel felt a deep sense of gratitude and peace, realizing that his life had made a difference. The angels reminded him that love and courage were the greatest gift he could offer, and that his legacy would live on through the lives he had touched. As the vision began to fade, Samuel felt himself being gently guided back. He awoke with tears in his eyes, filled with a newfound sense of peace and purpose. His experience with the angels had healed his regrets, allowing him to embrace each day with gratitude and a renewed commitment to helping others. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through these powerful near-death experiences. Each story is a reminder of the mystery, peace, and love that might await us beyond this life. If these stories resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more thought-provoking and inspiring content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts or your own experiences in the comments below. Your stories add so much to this community. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay open, and remember that every moment of life is precious.